everyone. In this lesson, I will introduce the concept of brightness contrast in color. The renowned American architect Louis Kahn once said, "Architecture began with the making of a room, and a room is not a room without natural light. Light endows architecture with rich tonal variation and proves the existence of space. So, how do we effectively express light and shade in our designs?" I will introduce to you from 4 aspects. First, the basic concept of brightness contrast. Second, the basic types of brightness contrast. Third, a color matching exercise of brightness contrast. Finally, a summary of this lesson. So what is brightness? Brightness is the perception of the degree of light and shade on an object's surface. It represents a visual experience majorly determined by the intensity of light, commonly referred to as the brightness or darkness of colors. The degree of light and shade of color is called brightness. Combining colors of different brightness creates a contrast effect of light and shade. That is brightness contrast, which is highly sensitive and impactful on the human eyes. It is suitable for depicting the three-dimensional sense and spatial hierarchy of objects. There are 2 methods to change brightness. First, gradually adding white to a color to increase its brightness. Conversely, gradually adding black to decrease its brightness. Colors are typically divided into 9 color scales based on their shades, ranging from level 1 to 9 as shown in the picture. The 0 and 10 here represent white with the highest brightness and black with the lowest brightness, respectively. According to this, we categorize scales into 3 main tones. That is, the picture based on tones from level 0 to 3 is in low tone. The picture based on tones from level 4 to 6 is in medium tone. The picture based on tones from level 7 to 10 is in high tone. Within these tones, if the main tone falls within 3 color scales, it shows weak contrast. If it spans more than 3 but less than 6 scales, it shows medium contrast. And if it surpasses 6 color scales, it shows strong contrast. By presenting the 3 main tones and 9 types of contrast in a single chart, you can see there are high, middle, and low tones, and varying types of contrast from strong to weak within each main tone, along with a type of contrast between black and white in the highest tone. So we can see that based on the 3 main tones and the 9 types of contrast, focusing on the contrast relationship between black, white, and gray, an exercise about brightness contrast of 9 color scales is developed. That you can see pictures with stronger contrast feature clearer and sharper colors and spatial layers, appearing brighter and clearer, while those with weaker contrast is more nuanced and detailed. But the brightness contrast of them is not strong enough. We can also develop an exercise of zero-level brightness contrast by adding black and white to a single color. In addition to a single color, you can also practice brightness contrast with multiple colors. Okay, next, I will demonstrate an exercise on brightness contrast to you. We will do an exercise on an image based on the 3 main tones and the 9 types of contrast. You can see this student applied 9 types of gray in different brightness to the pictures. We can find that whether it's in high brightness color scales or in low brightness ones, when a strong contrast is applied, the image tends to be in clearer contrast and more vibrant. Conversely, when the contrast fit is weaker, the image tends to appear more blurred in its layers, but also more delicate. In addition to using black, white, and gray, we can also use a single color for this exercise. Start with one single color and then add black and white to it to create 9 color scales. Then fill them in an image according to these 9 relationships. Furthermore, we can use multiple colors for the exercise based on the 0 level scale and the 9 color scales. Next, let's proceed with the exercise of brightness contrast. There are 2 steps. In the first step, we choose a color and add black and white to create 9 levels of brightness. As shown in the figure, we add black and white to this blue color, forming 9 color scales of brightness. In the second step, based on the 9 color scales we just created, arrange them in the picture, as shown here. This is an exercise with strong contrast, mainly using the colors of number 1 and number 2 in low tone. Then we can see this student primarily used a low brightness colors as the main color and added high brightness colors of number 8 and number 9, creating a strong contrast in low brightness of the spatial color scheme. Similarly, we can use this method to complete other types of contrast, such as strong contrast in medium brightness and weak contrast in high brightness or low brightness. This is a case from a student. So when you finish such an assignment, based on the 9 types of brightness, we can understand the application of brightness contrast in reflecting hierarchical relationships in space. Now let's move on to more practical applications, such as applying single colors based on the types of contrast we just learned in the color matching of some interiors. After this, you can gradually move on to multicolor spatial color schemes, enriching and diversifying the colors. We can see that this is spatial color matching exercise in medium brightness, and this is in low brightness. The application of brightness contrast in design. This is the design of an animation scene, and we can see that the designers skillfully use varying levels of brightness, creating rich scenes transitioning from light to dark and warm to cold color, creating intricate and rich layers. Similarly, brightness contrast is often used in black and white photography to reflect the rich and delicate color relationships formed by light and shadow in space. In this interior space, we can see a spatial color scheme predominantly based on white in high brightness, coupled with the type of black and white contrast. Additionally, brightness contrast is common in the interior decoration, like this one in high brightness and with medium to weak contrast. Even with the same color, variations in pattern result in different relationships between light and shade. As shown in the right picture, this image depicts a high brightness and a low contrast color scheme. In recent years, gradient color is very popular. The design of this sofa itself is relatively simple with a clear shape. Its rich gradient of gray greatly soften the appearance of this otherwise heavy mass. We can also see the application of brightness gradients in other product designs, such as lamps, umbrellas, and chairs. Brightness contrast is also used in illustrations and other designs. In our daily lives, we can often see applications of brightness contrast. Through learning and practicing the 9 types of brightness contrast in this lesson, I hope you can grasp how to apply brightness contrast in spatial design. Let's all complete the following assignments and exercises together. That's all for today's lesson. See you next time. Thank you.